Hi, how are you? I'm glad you came along.
I did it.
Yeah, how are you? Like you
So we
now.
can, so we can go to waste.
Working out.
Grab some coffee, guys. Keep you a little warm. It's chilly in there, isn't it? Good.
We're doing this stuff. Yeah. April.
Okay, submitted public comment or at the,
That's a good question.
But you didn't answer.
He's asking when to submit the letter. Should we?
public comment or at the agenda item itself?
Probably been the discussion of that item.
Yeah, that
I think that would tie.
It all together.
Okay.
Did you? Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. We call the meeting to order at 4:05. And attendance
Robert Tucker,
here.
Dennis Barnum,
Present.
Cindy Nino,
Here.
Dr. Ana Jimenez Hamid, Jackie Rosa Garcia,
Here.
Jorge Martinez, Anthony Sandoval, Carlos Acevedo.
Present.
Thank you. Not Paul.
Okay, thank you. Pledge of allegiance. Dennis, would you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comments. This is the opportunity for the public comments that are from the, not from the board members. Are there any public comments?
No.
Okay, not seeing any. Okay. Excused absences.
We have three.
Okay. You'll enter them as part of the record.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Regular meeting minutes of February 13th. Do I hear a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of February 13th?
I'll second.
One person second, all in favor, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, well, that's the end of the consent calendar. We'll go right into the business calendar. Item 3, ranking of youth provider requests for proposals for youth program year 2025-27. Item 1, recommended, we'll take them one at a time. Recommended action, accept the review committee's ranking of youth proposals for a 2-year procurement. Period ending June 30th, 2027, to award future youth providers agreements utilizing Federal Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act funds. And we'll do item 2 as well. Recommended that the Workforce Development Board and City Council execute an agreement with Working Wardrobes of $200,000 and Stand Up for Kids of $200,000, and for a 1-year period from July 1st through June 30th.
26
What's that?
of 2026.
2026, yeah. Wow.
Are those 2 separate items or 1 item?
It's one item.
Okay,
Yeah,
We vote on that one item. It's just the 2 recommended actions.
okay.
yeah, and the action is thus. Okay, is there a motion to approve?
I move we approved
Is there a
both
second?
items. Approve.
A second.
Okay, discussion. Sandy?
Okay, so if you guys are aware, we had informed that we have about 500,000 to procure. That was the reasoning behind our actual RFP that was approved back a few months ago. And so that particular money was to incorporate new providers that would be offering credentials that were WIO approved, in addition to paid work experience, which are one of the main components for the workforce for the WIOA funding cycle. And so currently that would put 400,000 into these 2 providers, which would leave us with about 100,000. And I guess we can discuss that for the next one.
Second item.
Sorry, what?
The email that many received could be discussed the second
Right.
item,
Correct.
or the number 4.
And so that money needs to be procured out, which is the reasoning for, behind the 2 action items that we have put forth. I don't know if there's any questions with regards to that.
I just like to say, as part of the committee to review, to thank my fellow committee members for
Yes.
your efforts. Each of the packets was 300 pages long. So we had some reading and some discussion.
With
The
the contract.
decision ultimately came down to looking at the interviews, because the packets were very well done, professional. So, and also thank you to staff for your efforts in going through all that and keeping us on task. And Jacques Lamb from the city, who was actually
Yes.
very instrumental in keeping us in order. So I'm very grateful to everybody. And so is there any further discussion on this items 1 and 2?
I'd like to echo that same sentiment. Thank you so much for bringing it all back. I think it was a new process this time around. Everybody was so flexible. We went electronic with our review of the proposal, which is really nice. And that's where Jacques Lamb came in to help us with that process. So thank you so much for being flexible and working with the new procedure. I think it did make things so much more efficient and easier to follow. And it gave you a full picture because you were able to see all the components of the proposals that were submitted, from the reports to the letters to every piece of the actual application and proposal that was submitted. And I was excited to see that we had 3 proposers this time around that wrote really well proposals and provided some insight to how to better serve youth in Santa Ana.
And considering the, oh, go ahead.
So the working wardrobes, 200,000. Yeah, I thought I heard you mention it would be for work experience.
They will be
primarily.
Yes, they will be providing. So Stand Up for Kids is providing the 14 elements, and in addition to paid work experience and certifications, which we also incorporated more detail in the action item as far as what they would be providing.
And Working Wardrobes is also doing work experience.
Correct. And they're doing occupational training with different components in their program also, and doing paid work experience.
Okay.
And they all have kind of a different focus. Although they're serving a diverse group of youth, they do have their expertise similar to our current provider in certain populations, with Stand Up for Kids being experts in serving homeless youth or unhoused youth, and then Working Wardrobes working with youth that have been justice involved.
And considering the many rules and hoops people have to jump through to be part of this organization, it was great to see others that were interested. So with their understanding of knowing what they would have to go through. And I think not Working Wardrobes, the youth group.
Stand Up for
Stand Up
Kids.
for Kids, thank you.
You have to remember
This is
that
new to
name,
them.
Stand Up for
This is
Kids.
new to them, so they're willing to take on some new rules and regs.
And I do apologize, there is a third entity that is listed on here that is eligible and passed through the eligibility and is in the ranking. But because of the amount of funding that we have available right now, unfortunately, we cannot fund all of them at the levels that they requested. And so we did have to go back to the 2 providers to indicate them going down from their original proposals. And they were open to that adjustment and adapted to the new budget to serve 20 youth.
Any further input or discussion? Okay, not hearing any, I'll call the question. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, can you remind me of Working Wardrobes and Stand Up, how many they had asked for and how much and how many?
What was their initial request and
Yeah.
what is the recommended, to see
Yeah.
what the difference is, or how much was cut from each one?
Yes, for Working Wardrobes, it was 313,000 and change, serving
13.
25 youth. And Stand Up for Kids was 2,000.
200 and
Excuse me, yeah,
211,000?
correct. Yes, because there was a difference of about 4,000 to 7,000 that we asked them to drop down to serve 20 youth. So that we kept the same amount of youth for them, but dropped them down to make them the same as the other one.
So they're both going, okay. And working wardrobes then would be 20 instead of 25,
Correct.
and same with stand-up, and both at 200.
Yes, so they were at 20 kids. Any other questions, comments?
Okay, not hearing any. All those in favor of the motions for the recommended actions for items 3.1 and 3.2, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstention? Okay, the motion carries. Item 4, renewal of Orange County Children's Therapeutic Arts Center, OCTAC, youth agreement for program year 2025-2026. The recommended action is the recommended city council award a 1-year agreement with OCTAC in the amount of $200,000 for program year 2025-26, subject to the availability of federal workforce funds. I do want to acknowledge we did receive a written comment from Dr. Anna, and we will kindly submit that for the record. Anyway,
She can get a first and a
yeah.
second, then you could do discussion.
is there first motion?
I move we approve.
Okay, so we get that. Hang on. Was there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion.
Okay, discussion comes after.
Yeah.
So what are you recommending, 200 and how many?
20.
And 20. So, just so that I understand a little bit more. They weren't really up for renewal right now, is my understanding.
I'm sorry?
They weren't up for renewal, they were continuing what they had gotten before, with my understanding.
No, so every year we are only allowed to do a 1-year agreement because our funding comes in annually. And so initially we wanted to do a 2-year agreement, but because of our allocation coming out on an annual basis, we're only able to do 1-year agreements pending allocations, funding, performance, et cetera. And so what we do have continuing is the eligibility to receive continuous funding annually because they qualified for a longer procurement. So OCTAC came in an RFP that was a 4-year RFP and is eligible for 4 years should they perform and should there be funding available those 4 years. So we don't have to go back and do a new RFP, have them reapply, submit a new proposal. It's more of like, okay, you're doing great, we're gonna refunding, we got additional funding. Would you still like to be a part of the network? If so, this is the amount that we're awarding because of funding and performance, et cetera. And then they choose to accept it or decline it annually.
So what happens to? I guess I look at them having 30 participants
Currently,
currently. So does that mean that? Am I wrong?
It's being proposed 20 youth at 200,000, not 30 youth at 200.
So
Right.
I'm thinking that if they had 30, right, before, and you're saying that they only have to have 20 now.
Mhm.
What about the youth that are already, it's almost gonna be like, maybe they're just gonna have rollover youth and not picking up any new youth, or very few regular youth, very few
New
extra
youth.
youth, new youth.
In the
If this
system,
is
yeah.
the final outcome. Am I correct or am I wrong? Am I
No.
understanding?
I mean,
Any-
that could be done, like, they do sometimes roll certain kids over.
Correct, pending the need of the participant and carryovers. It's not just assumed that all youth will be rolled over, depending on the need. If they need and they show the proof of why they need to continue, they're still finishing school, they're still working on XYZ that needs additional attention. That can't be done during the 12 months that they're following up with them. That's considered closer to the end when staff goes out to monitor the agency, and then they're asked to review all of their different enrollments and ask them, okay, what's their status? How are they progressing? How are they moving forward? Does it look like they'll be exiting in a month, in 2 months, in 4 months, et cetera? And at that point, it's discussed if any or a few of them will be carried over.
So they'll be following though for follow-up. 30 youth because that's who was with them before. So they will be following up more youth and actually if they didn't have anyone else carrying on, they'd have to add another 20. But they would still be doing it with the same amount. The 200,000
The
is
less
the
amount,
other
yeah.
with less, so they're gonna be doing follow-up with nothing. Am I correct?
And follow-up's not a daily activity
Right,
unless they choose to make it a daily activity, but it's done on the quarterly basis.
but it's still, they won't have any additional funding for that.
Right. And that's part of the contracts that we have with all our youth providers, and that's the double-edged sword. That if, like for Project Kinship, when they finish the program, technically they're supposed to do follow-up for a year afterwards, even though they've asked not to get funded. But as staff, we've learned over the years that we assume that follow-up responsibility for the providers that leave, because at the end of the day, it's the grant, the city of Santa Ana that's responsible for outcomes. And so we gird staff and prepare them for assume to pick up clients that they're not going to follow up if they're not funded the following year.
And we're pretty sure that there's going to be 200 because you had said 5 in the beginning and we're already using 4.
Right, so there's 100,000 left, so to speak, from this year's funding that we could use for Dr. Annex. We follow, sorry, not Dr. Annex, Orange County Therapeutic Guards, because it's first in, first out. So that funds will be committed to that agreement. And then we're waiting for the state to receive its allocations from Department of Labor. And then we'll use some of the new monies to fulfill the agreement. We don't know how much, so I think you see staff being more conservative in their approach and doing the agreement. We could certainly wait longer for the state to give us our allocation and know where we stand. But we started that discussion of reducing it and reducing the number of youth served. But they have, of course, countered, and that's open for the committee to amend the motion if they wish, and ask staff to do something different.
I
If we
think
do
I'm just-
fund the full amount,
Yeah.
which we could at direction,
if the money comes.
it'll just impact next year's contract where everyone's gonna have, the committee's gonna have to look at saying, okay, this is what we have now. And
So-
adjust some or all agreements.
To kind of clarify what you just said. If you're cautiously optimistic that funding will come in, if the funding comes in as maybe you read the tea leaves, I don't know if you read tea leaves.
I'm hoping for the same, but preparing for less.
So, right.
I'll be thrilled if it's the same.
Would it be appropriate to have an amendment saying maintain their funding based on money that comes in?
That we could do one more year of that, but not next year. Because next year we'll have all 3 youth providers agreements come due. And so I'm assuming we'll have less to award of this new year that's coming up. And so that's when we'll have to have a harder
So kind of
discussion.
like, don't get their hopes up. I mean, that's
That would
harsh,
be,
but,
yeah,
For the full amount of the 300 for 30 youth.
so there's a possibility, regardless of whatever action we take here, that this could be reconsidered for them.
Right, and it can start here. It can
Okay.
start at the committee level, and then we take it to the youth council, or I'm sorry, to the workforce board.
So meeting start today as an amendment?
Right, you could amend from the floor, right, Bianca?
Yeah.
It's under the proper protocol in the Brown Act and that.
Is there an amendment based on what we just said that someone could put in the proper words?
into proper words.
Well, the funding, the funding is,
Just
If not, then there's not,
Just
you know,
300,000 for 30 youth as they are at this point, if funding. Right? If
We would need
funding-
direction, though, if funding did come in at a different level, what would you want staff to do? Otherwise, we'll probably have to bring it back to the workforce board. And then to city council, because ultimately it's city council that has contracting authority.
So how would that be worded then to say 300? Because I'm thinking, well, if they only get 100,000, we're only talking 10 youth.
well,
We're getting 500 and you're giving 2 and 2.
that's
the
if you're
unknown.
basing the amount racially on ratio wise on
Right.
the number of youth. 300,000 for X number of youth, 200,000 for 20
Right.
youth. You know, I'm not sure if that's really the way that.
Right, because the providers indicated that even, if we did it proportionate to the number of youth, it comes to a point where it's not sustainable for them as an
Right.
organization.
Right.
That,
If they're not getting
200 hurt, 250 was better, 300,
But that's 30 individuals, that's 30 participants for 300, because it goes up each time.
right.
So
So
I get.
I mean, we tried to cut it proportionate,
Yeah.
but when we proposed the two, the organization came back late,
Right,
because Sandy made multiple efforts last week to connect, but came back late saying it's a no-go. And so we're like, okay, well, we'll take it as is because it's been posted,
yeah.
but this is where you can help guide staff on the discussion.
Yeah, I'm sorry to bring this up. I just kind of, and I'm thinking about this is the times when everybody's getting cut so crazily. We have a program that we know works.
Mhm.
And we have two programs that we hope are gonna work, and we want to give them a chance. But we're cutting the program that we know works to almost nothing, to less than what we're giving the two programs that are coming in new, that don't even know. They don't know what they're in for. They don't know what they don't know, I guess is the easiest way to
Right.
say it.
so
And so I'm just kind of,
And it's not necessarily nothing. The previous year, they were budgeted at 200,000 for 20 youth. Only this year did we increase the 100,000 and increase the number of youth that they were serving. So prior to this, they were funded at no more than 200, and prior to that, it was less than 200. It was at 175, 180 maybe thousand. So this has been the first year that they've received the 300,000 for 30 youth.
because they took on, didn't they, some of the other programs that jumped out.
They
That was
added
my
more,
understanding.
youth, they
Yeah.
added 10 more youth.
Yeah,
And then they also increased wages to the youth.
yes.
Because they were competing, none of us were competing successfully with the retail and food establishments who were paying 20.
$20 an hour. So, yeah,
And
there we
staff
are.
looked at the budget and saw the turnover that was going on at the organization, said, you've got money in the budget. Maybe look at paying your staff also a
Right.
wage that was a little better.
so I'm hearing that you're very optimistic that they'll make 200, you'll make 200,000 for them.
Right.
And then the definite maybe is the extra 100,000, 300, should that come in? And when do you think you may know? I mean, that's a rough-
Yeah, I've been reading the tea leaves and was frantically, checking in with counterparts across the state. Mid-May is the optimistic. It could be late May. We're just not sure who's left at Department of Labor and
Right, and they're
Is there
really
somebody
looking
left?
now at, the funding coming down from DOL, and I'm probably not as optimistic
Yeah.
as some of you are, but.
You're in the
Yeah.
business, you know, yeah.
But it would
Yeah.
definitely be a different change if there was someone from that state budget in that says, we're gonna go ahead and put it back to what it was.
And it isn't necessarily different than it has been for the last maybe 20, 30 years that I'm aware of. Every year,
Yeah.
we're looking for allocation.
Yeah.
And we're looking to
Figure-
see what we're gonna get funded. And so we are at the will of our funding, even
Yeah.
myself and Deborah, we are fully federally funded. So if come May, they say we're zeroing out, we're all worrying. Because we're all on the cutting block, not just the providers, but all of us. So obviously that hasn't happened in 30+ years. I think it's been consistent where we've managed, we've adapted, we've pivoted so that we're able to continue to provide services to the community and obviously make sure that we're still standing. And so that's why I say we're hopeful. I tend to lean more on the hopeful. But there is, because of what we're dealing with right now in the administration, I mean, we just don't know.
Yeah.
But I've been here for 25 years and I'm still here for 25 years. So that's why I'm so hopeful. But again, it's a different time right now. So we're just waiting to see what that will look like come May.
I
I'm
know
very
a lot of-
hopeful too, just because I'm thinking when they went up to 30, they would have had to hire somebody else to work with them. So, they've got an employee they're gonna have to let go. And I think that they're gonna have to wait until they hear what the final is, but they will have an employee if the final is just the 200 for 20. they'll have an employee, and here we are at this time, another employee going.
Like I said, what we could
I think
fund
about
at the full
place in
amount.
my heart
It's just
right
we,
now.
the decision we make today will
Yeah.
definitely impact next year's round. And
But we don't know what next year will be. We have no idea who's gonna be
we
where.
could be
next
doged
year.
out, so,
Yeah, we may nothing, there may be nothing next year.
right.
Or there may be a lot.
So based on the discussion I've heard there, I'm hearing that there is not an interest in an amendment.
Well,
I kind of heard that there might be
there might be.
an interest, but it still has to come to a vote. So
Okay.
someone needs to say, I want to amend the
Just-
motion to read. They could read the same and change.
There was an updated budget that she did send out after indicating 250 for 25 youth. That could be also recommended, should the funding come in, that we fund them at that, if that's something that the committee is considering.
So that could be a
I-
compromise between the two and
Amend
three.
that, then if I can make a recommendation, I would
You
recommend.
can
that
recommend from the
be,
floor.
a recommendation, if the funding doesn't come in for the 300, that for 30, that it's then for 25 at
250?
250. Is that what you just said? 250?
So I'm hearing an amendment to the motion. Is there a second to the amendment?
Oh, did I make the first?
Yeah.
Okay. I made the first.
Okay,
I had Dennis as the first. I'm sorry. Dennis as the first, Sandy and Nino as the second,
okay,
and you were discussion. But you could make a motion to amend.
so you made a motion to amend.
I made the motion to amend.
Okay, is there, so is your motion, you're making a motion, so that's the first.
That's the first, so we need a
Is there a
second.
second? For discussion?
No. Do we
Okay,
want to discuss again?
without a second, there's no discussion.
So you can, someone can make a second, and that'll allow everyone to discuss, and then a vote would happen after that second discussion.
So again, is there a second to your motion?
A second to, I second, we discuss the
So we can have a
late on
discuss.
table amendment request,
Okay,
the
all right.
250 to.
Now there's discussion to the amended motion.
There's no vote yet.
No voting. So is there discussion? Do you want to add anything more than? what you
Well, I
just
think
shared?
I've talked already.
Okay.
I've done my talking.
So right now, what's on the table is
Hopefully 25 kids at 250,
pending funding.
pending funding.
But
The motion is to approve them at 250 to serve 25 youth,
Pending funding.
pending funding.
So we have a first and a second. Any further discussion?
And just to share the timeline that staff is trying to follow on this, is we're presenting it here to the youth council. It'll go to the workforce development board at their May meeting. And I'm hoping to have some funding numbers, or at least something from the state, what they're hearing. If we don't, it'll go to the youth, or the workforce board, and then it'll, we're on track to present to city council at the last meeting of June. So we still have several checkpoints before it goes to city council. And if we still are in the clouds, not knowing what's going on, then I would shoot for the first meeting in July. City council scheduled to meet still before 4th of July holiday. Put it on the July calendar so that there's not like a long delay in services, which is why we bring it to you now, even though we don't know funding. It's the hopes that the whole contract process is so lengthy that we try and keep it where the providers know that July 1, they have
So
a start
So let
time.
me ask then. So if we get more funding, we could be back here talking about how we use the funding again. Am I
well,
correct?
we've already,
Or are we done? even
well,
if we
we
get
know
more
we
funding?
know what we have now.
Right,
We're projecting that we'll probably more than likely have the extra 100, so everybody gets 2.
uh-huh.
And we're hoping for an extra 50,000, that's the amendment, to try and get something for them. So that's the funding. Anything
And your
changes.
youth funds are 2-year life.
Right.
So during the next spring cycle, you'll be able to award hopefully another contract or contracts.
Okay, my input
Oh, spring, okay.
on this motion is I can support it because for a couple reasons. I want to be optimistic considering everything everyone's going through in public life today. And also the kind of honoring Octac for they're like an, I don't like the word institution, but they are in the city as far as serving kids, especially kids with special needs. So I want to be cautiously optimistic. So I, for one, will support the motion. Is there any other input before we have the vote? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. That's 1, 2, 3, 4,
So I
5.
say 100%.
Any opposed?
Mhm.
Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. The amended motion.
Amended
carries.
motion carries.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you for everybody for working the
Yes.
process. You know my Robert's rules, so yay.
Mhm.
Okay, that's the end of the business calendar. We'll go on to program operator reports. YSP.
Thank you, everyone, for having this special meeting with us. I know, as Deborah mentioned, we're trying to meet deadlines. April might seem early to start this whole process, but it really is not. If you want to make sure that all our providers begin in July. And so I appreciate your flexibility in meeting with us. But our navigator, so Juan is out ill, but I did want to touch bases with you to ensure we are working to see how we can provide more detailed information with regards to our performance. I know something myself and Deborah have been looking at is the state always provides us with delayed performance reports. And so it's always been a catch up in trying to make sure that we're looking at each individual youth and where they fall in their performance those 12 months after, and then also the 12 months after participating in the program. They all have different timelines. We have been successful in meeting or coming close to meeting and falling within the successful performance percentages that were required for the state. And I don't want to get into the weeds as far as what's counted and the time frame and scores and goals, because it does get a little bit cross-eyed for a lot, and I'm sure our providers can attest to that. But now that we are potentially getting new providers, I think reinstating the training and also being a little bit more diligent on how we track each individual participant so that we're able to tell you on a lot clearer if they're getting a job, have they attended school within the time frame that WIOA requires. I think one of the struggles is the information that they obtain is always a 6 month to a year delay. We just received our performance for 2023 in March of this year. And so
Somebody's a wee bit late.
So it's like a 18-month.
Yeah.
because they're looking at
If you have
basically
that 1-year
reports.
follow-up, it's that fourth quarter
Yeah.
after follow-up, so it's like 2 years.
And I know the COVID period also was a 2-year period, which I think
That's
delayed some stuff and it threw things. And so I think now we can safely say, okay, let's get back on track. Let's look at exactly how we can serve our participants so that they're meeting all the goals that they're supposed to meet, but also looking at our providers to make sure that we're on top of how we're meeting our performances, how to better manage our performance so that everybody is successful and that we're moving forward with providing long-term success for the participants that are enrolled in the WIOA program. It is quite a bit of an investment. We're looking at about anywhere from 10 to 13 to 15,000 investment into an individual kid based on the contracts. And so we want to make sure that it's having lasting effects on our participants, whether that's getting a credential that's going to gain them that long-term career, or at least launch them into that long-term career, or providing that job that's going to pay them well, livable wages here in Orange County. I think we all know working here that it's quite expensive. So when we look at our youth, we want to make sure that we're setting them up on the right path. So that's it for us. Yes,
I have a
question.
question. So and I may be wrong, YSPN is where the summer jobs came from? Am I correct? Or am I on the wrong?
Yeah, wrong track.
Wrong.
YSPN
Who
is
was it
the
that
youth
did
services.
Summer jobs that the students,
The SAY program.
is that what that was?
Are you talking about the current work experience program for the Say Employment Program that we have?
Was that stay?
SAY.
Say. So right now we
Okay.
have separately that we also work with, we get non-WIA funds to provide paid work experience to youth in the community that do not have any of, or the stringent eligibility criteria that WIOA has, which allows us to
Okay.
serve more youth. Within that funding, we're able to serve up to 300 youth through the YSPN with that separate funding. So it's like we're leveraging non-WIOA funds to be able to serve more youth in the community and provide that paid work experience with workshops and
That's
so forth.
amazing.
Yes,
That was really good. So you do have that this year and
We-
when
yes,
do
and
we
so,
look?
yes, so we do have it year round.
Oh.
It's year round.
Right.
Right now, funding allows for us to be able to serve and provide paid work experience for youth 16 to 30 years old that live in Santa Ana.
Has that
And depending
changed?
on their circumstances, potentially outside of Santa Ana.
The city submitted another proposal to receive California for All monies, and we're hoping to hear an announcement this week from the California Volunteers Office. If we don't, then it ends in December. And then the city does allocate monies to the work centers using its cannabis tax to do the SAY program, which I don't know if it has really an age gap, but it's been 16 to
Mhm.
24, so to speak, to work with Santa Ana youth. And we also receive a small portion of Measure X, part of the city's sales increase to do youth components with that. And that's work experience, kind of like year round.
Right.
Summer.
When do they fill out the applications?
We have different cohorts, and so our application is open year round,
Okay.
but there is start and finishes right now. And so right now, we're in the process of the tail end of enrollments for the summer cohort, which begins in May. So we're placing, we're enrolling, we're onboarding. We're looking to serve about 150 youth this summer, from May through the end of August. And then our new cohort will start in September through December, and then January to April.
So Sandy and her team's been working closely with Santa Ana Unified as well to
Yes.
spread the word to all the high school kids, and word of mouth is picking up.
I
And
used
that,
to be that person that got all that stuff out there. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed that
help.
program.
Push it out.
it also allows us to serve more in-school youth. As you guys are all aware, this particular RFP was only for out-of-school youth, like true out-of-school youth. And so this allows us to serve what I call our little ones, which is our 16 to 18, 19 that are still in high school, and provide them that first job and that first work experience and start guiding them in that path of how to properly receive a job, stay in a job, keep a job, and just communicate professional, et cetera, et cetera.
They were
Without fault.
exciting jobs too. They were
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
lawyers and with the police department and just things that you dream of having a job at. They
Yes.
got to be there.
Be exposed to different
Be
career
exposed.
pathways, yeah.
And one day K-12 step up. That's it. Yeah, you know, one day.
They're still expecting us to do
I
it.
always say career tech, oh, come on, show us. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
We are working, and I am working,
Was that?
as a side note, we are
I was
working
like-
with the school district and the CTE to develop an MOU, and that's in the process, the final process. It's been a long process, not to say the least,
Yeah.
but I have finally provided them a final approved
Done with our.
version, our side, to the school district CTE program for them to run through their board. And then we'll bring it back and take it to our city council for approval so that we can play together more officially.
I like that, play together.
Yeah.
And
And so I still work with job developers and job coaches in Santa Ana.
Good.
Well, work with them. We have lunch together.
That's good.
But
You're
we
talking.
always talk. We talk about
Talk
whatever's
shop.
going on. So if you
Yes.
can keep me up on what's
Of
going
course.
on, I'll keep them up on it and they can send their kids because that was just an amazing thing.
I will send you
Everything's
out, or I'll have
amazing.
Bianca send out our flyer for our stay employment program so that they can have, everything is online, and so they apply online, they upload their documents. And then we go ahead and reach out to them.
Thank you.
And it's definitely a lot easier eligibility than WIOA, which
Oh, yeah, it's really
I'm
good.
thrilled about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we always difficult.
Okay, anything else?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Orange County Children's Therapeutic Arts Center.
Hey, everyone. Okay. So. Yep.
Well, you know, they can go this way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got them.
Okay, everyone has them? Okay. So, for the most part, as you know, the numbers, haven't really changed.
overall in 2024-2025 program year, we served a total of 29 youth, 9 of which were carryovers from the late, the amended budget, approved in March 2024. But as of today's date, we're serving 22 participants, 2 of which happen to be part of that carryover. So overall, the things I would like to highlight from this report would be on page 2. So we have a few new work employment updates. So we have one participant who just recently accepted a job offer as a special education teacher's aide for Anaheim School District. So we were really, really happy for him. We have one participant who recently received an offer and accepted for a visitor services associate at Bowers Museum, which she's actually here with us today. So she'll share a little bit about that experience after the report. And then we have another participant who was awarded the paid internship opportunity with Santa Ana, City of Santa Ana, as a traffic engineer intern.
Good.
So that we were super, super excited about that because he is currently enrolled at Cal State Long Beach for civil engineering.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so he was really, really happy with that. But overall, as you know, the numbers really haven't changed in the sense of participant enrollments because we've met our number. For the most part, participants are still continuing their work experience. We have currently 10 enrolled in college. Some of them are doing their traditional 2-year, 4-year. We have others that are in their certificate programs. So we are currently just helping them navigate through that. But yeah, just wanted to provide those updates for you all. And I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Questions for? Yeah, thank you very much for your report.
And I think the presentation from,
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
For Bowers.
Oh.
Sorry, yes. This is Valentina. Valentina did her work experience at Bowers Museum and she actually got hired on. So I would like for her to share a little bit about her experience in our program in general. Hello, everyone. No worries,
Everyone's
no worries,
looking.
y'all. My name is Valentina. I currently work at Bowers Museum as a visitor services associate. I just accepted it last week, so I'm very new to the department. But regardless, I'm really, really thankful about Octech because it was my foot in the door of getting museum experience because for me, working in a museum is my ideal career path. And what better place than working at Bowers Museum? And so I had the opportunity to just network in different departments, such as in the community programs department. I still work very closely with them and now at museum services. And apart from that, it's just overall receiving like the guidance of like how to properly have the etiquettes of doing an interview and following up with your interviewees and just maintaining that relationship with like the people being interviewed with. I will say that Andrea and previously Yahaira helped me a lot in terms of getting support on how to apply to internships such as like Harvard Library was one of them and Art Bridges was another internship program that I was interested in applying to. I didn't get those offers, but just getting that offer from them, from those places that I wouldn't be able to consider applying on my own, but because I received the mentorship from Octave was the support that I need, and I hope that that continues on for future participants in the youth employment program. Yeah.
So I have a question, a couple questions actually. When you, one is when you applied, went to the interview and all that, was Octech instrumental in helping you prepare for that particular part of the assessment?
Yes, absolutely, because those interviews were virtual.
Mm.
They weren't in person, but regardless, kind of like how I said, like Andrea and Yahaira like helped me a lot in terms of knowing what questions to ask, how to properly answer a question that is like comprehensive and just can fully attest to my capabilities and what I can bring forward to the internships that I apply to. I think those are really useful because regardless of me getting the internship or not, that's the everyday language that I need to incorporate. Especially now that I work in visitor services where I'm at the face of the public all the time and I have to interact with people all the time. It comes in handy.
Did you apply to Museo?
To a museum?
Anaheim.
In Anaheim.
Museo.
Oh, museo. Oh, no, I did not apply to a museo, no.
I'm from Anaheim.
Okay, yes, bye.
That's a really good museum. And so it's a
I went to their Napoleon
Yeah.
show a few years ago. It was awesome. Yeah.
We'll have to check them out.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll be open to having some of our youth.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know my wife worked there for a short
Oh,
period of time,
nice.
years ago.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much for coming here and sharing your success. Okay,
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Excited for you.
okay, we'll go on to comments, staff.
I have just a couple if I may, and then I'll turn it to you to talk about the job fair.
Oh, yes.
Last week, the president did issue an executive order as it relates to workforce programs.
A new one?
A new one. So I skimmed it and it was kind of clear as mud. But looking at it again, got a little clearer, but Commerce, Department of Labor, and I forget a third executive agency have been tasked to come back in 90 days to try and first of all, support a workforce. So that was a good thing. So, yeah, at least that's being acknowledged. So workforce is important. Also stressing, trying to do more apprenticeships. So we'll see what the direction is going in that apprenticeship angle. Encouraging what we have been doing, which is sector initiative with our businesses and industries. So perhaps apprenticeships may not be as like union-based apprenticeships, but it'll be an expansion of just a more robust version of apprenticeships. Some kind of change in data collection was implied, and then identifying redundancies and efficiencies. So we'll see where that goes, but that was issued last week, and I'll be happy to share it out to read. There was also a Brookings, I got a clipping of a Brookings report that said read page 26 on. So that kind of helped paraphrase some of it. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. The second is the work center is completing its 4 months renovations. So you'll start to see the office renovations are done. The final phase of cubicle installation was done today. And that's in part because our partnerships have asked for additional space. So SARE has asked to increase from 1 cubicle to 2. So we were able to accommodate that request. Family self-sufficiency, which is bedded with the city's housing authority, Section 8, where they have a HUD program that incentivizes long-term Section 8 recipients or Section 8 recipients that are willing to go to training or education and get better employment. So as they increase their wages, their Section 8 housing support goes down. That's always a fear, right? So as it goes down, the support for the Section 8, the city will take that reduction and put it into an escrow account for that family. And then upon completion of the program, they're given the funds that they saved the government by improving themselves and being able to pay for their rent, fully. They'll get the difference over a period of time. I'm not sure the nuances of that, but they've grown that program where they've asked to have 3 staff here. And so I do see a lot of interactions between our family self-sufficiency team and our case managers and our EDD staff and sending clients to job fairs, over to our community colleges for training and also our WIOA grants for training. So there is that synergy that's been growing. So they've asked for an additional cubicle, and then our EDD partner has asked for 4 additional cubicles. So the office has grown, and we're starting to see foot traffic pick up post-COVID. But that's done. And then the last thing, unless Sandy has others to add, the job fair?
Yes, huge success. We have been working
that
as
too.
part of the Santa Ana Task Force. On the workforce side of it, we were working with the college and the school district
And the
to,
chamber?
and the chamber, thank you, to put on a youth job fair that was really open to the community, but the focus was youth, meaning college. Santa Ana Unified School brought in buses of their youth into the job fair. The college made sure, and they did an amazing job. They were the main host and really coordinated and developed the entire job fair at Santa Ana College. And so the youth came in and were able to get pizza during lunch if they finished mapping of going to different entities or booths and getting signatures and information. So it was a great turnout. They had over 80 employers, resources, and over 1,000, I think, youth showed up and participants who registered and got information. And I know that they're going to follow up with some of the job employers that are there to see how many youth have gotten hired, but there was lines. It was nice to walk around and see these employers have lines of youth, young adults waiting to fill out an application, get information on jobs, how to apply. There was quite a bit of representation from different fire stations looking to hire maybe police recruits, hiring cadets, things of that nature. And so and quite a few resources, and not as many as normally we see, but more employers, which was nice to see. So it was a very well organized event. My entire team went to assist and help out set up, but it was a great turnout. Youth were just coming through on a regular, and it was a great success.
Yay.
Or Santa Ana Chick-fil-A on South Bristol sent in a comment thanking them for putting on the
Yeah.
job fair, that he got 14 strong candidates
Yes.
that he's following up for seconds. I mean, ideally it'll be, or probably be for high school students, but it's a great company to work for.
Yes,
A lot probably from Saddleback, it's right there.
Yeah.
paid well, and they even offer
That's
some
nice.
assistance with college.
As my students call it, chica fia.
Oh, is that how they call it? Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, before, okay, that's good.
Chick-fil-A.
Who's out there? Chica fia. They're taking applications.
And they have samples, right?
Yes. So great turnout.
Okay, we'll go on to Youth Council Committee member comments. Are there comments from the Youth Council?
I got a couple of comments. So today, I did go to one of the career job fairs at Garden Grove Adult Center this morning. I was able to connect I did see the Orange County Workforce Board was there, EDD. We had a booth there, and of course, Santa Ana College. So it looked well attended. I mean, there was a lot of people. And so that was a really good job there this morning. Deborah, you mentioned about the Workforce Development Board's reviews per the DOL and Commerce, and I'm trying to think, I can think of the other one as well. I thought it was.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the third leg.
But yeah,
I don't think it's Department of Education. It could have been.
That
Could have been
Department of
education. Okay.
Yeah, Department of Education, that was the other one as well. And that, of course, those reviews, they're looking at heavy on the internships,
A lot of, they also wanted to do upskilling, which is part of the WIOA law, is to do incumbent worker training.
yeah, one of the interesting things in that call out was they talked a little bit about skill sets and skills needed, and they did not highly emphasize a college education, but they did highly
Right.
emphasize
Skills.
electricians, plumbers, trade skills, things of that nature, which is always good, because I talked to a roofer this morning, and boy, I wish I was a roofer.
Yeah, making that kind of money.
But those are definitely important. Just an update on the EDD side as it relates to the center. I know this morning, I think our director, we have a 30-day hold on our hiring at this point. We were hiring seven folks total, I think about 4 here. We had 5 at the other centers, but we're on hold right now for that to see what happens. We'll know shortly how that's going to go. That was also inclusive of a manager as well. We've been our manager and 7 other staff. So I don't want to say I'm optimistic, but I'm hopeful.
We're gonna hopeful,
That's
yeah.
good.
That's
Yeah,
I'm
good.
you're
hopeful.
hopeful. You're still hopeful. That's
I'm hopeful that that's just a 30-day pause. You know, you never know with some of the information that the state of our office in Sacramento is getting from the feds and the Department of Labor and WIOA and reauthorizing or actually changing the whole program into something different. So we'll see that. I did want to let you guys know that's going on there.
Thank
That's
you.
all I have.
Excellent. Other comments from committee members?
I'll have one too after you.
Okay, I just wanted to say, I actually have 2. I wanted to say that I'm hearing an awful lot lately about internships.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that this is a way we're kind of tending to lean right now. A little less towards everybody goes to college and a little more towards get out there, apprenticeships, internships.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
particular
I like that.
from a state perspective, it's definitely one of the things that we track, and we try to work well with the workforce boards and the AJCCs to get those referred for internships, trade work as well. I know that this administration, from a federal level, that's something that, you know, they take a different look at people getting jobs and work. They look at it not solely based on, oh, go to college, get a job. They take some of the folks in charge, they take a look at the skill sets. And if you don't have to go to college to get a good job. I've actually heard that said by the Department of Education person, secretary, and the Department of Labor person as well. So and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I mean, you know, I know plenty of people that didn't go to college that have jobs making way more money than I do.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, that is a big emphasis in internships. I mean, I give you a good example. You know, I just finished a teaching credential. So what the Cal State is doing, they're saying, oh, well, we funnel that through internships. So you have to do an internship.
Oh,
So that's a
Okay,
big push
I
these
get it.
days. That's a big push
instead of
these days.
student teaching, it's now called internship.
Yeah, that's what they got.
Right.
Unpaid
Right.
internships.
Yeah, it's still unpaid.
Unpaid
Or
internships.
woefully underpaid, yes.
Yeah,
So
my
that's-
union background, here internship.
Yeah, so that's it,
Free
definitely
labor.
unpaid.
New term, same thing.
But that's
Yeah.
good for the U program. It's good for the U programs, the work experience, all those things really help prepare the student or the person who's displaced for some different types of work. I mean, I think it's a good
They can
thing.
claim experience.
Yeah,
Right,
and the unions used to be
Yeah.
big on having that.
exposure, yeah,
you know,
expose them to the different trades.
Yeah,
or-
the different,
They,
I don't know how they are now, but.
they need, in my opinion, the internships, I mean, they have electricians, they
Yeah, yeah.
have all kinds of things, but they're so full. There's not, they need to expand it so more youth can get in there. And it's like, come on, unions, you can do this, you know, open it up. You'll look better for once.
Are they more selective now or?
Yeah.
Really?
They're just, I gotta be careful with the words I use. They should try more to open up their internships, to expand the teaching, because it's critical.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is.
Yeah,
It
Okay.
is.
that was careful.
It would be nice to pick some of that up again. You know, we used to
I'm
have
starting to
auto
hear,
shop,
I'm
wood
starting to
shop.
hear rumblings that the federal government does want to fund those former like ROP trade
Yeah.
type classes
Even
back at the high
boots and
schools. Yeah.
Sewing and all that stuff that was in there when I first started. The kids look forward to that and their parents looked forward to that. You know, their students learning to cook and to sew and to help out in the house like that.
Auto shop or
Auto
wood
shop.
Well,
shop,
if funding, a majority of
measurements,
funding
how to
goes
measure
back
things.
to the states as the Department of Education is looking to do, then the states will have a lot of influence on those programs like it did many, many years ago.
That's a good point.
I had brakes changed quite often. I don't know if that's a bad sign or. a good
Right,
sign.
at the high schools, like,
At the high
do I
schools,
trust my
yeah.
brakes?
Yes, they did.
By a high
My
school
brakes.
kid who's learning, right?
Teacher, you're the auspices, right? So the only other thing that I wanted to say was I want to thank you guys for listening to me. You know, my heart goes out to those special needs students, and I'm always going to fight for them.
So,
Maybe that's why I'm here, right?
so
Absolutely. Thank
So
you for your
thank
input.
you.
other comments from youth committee?
Really quickly, I just wanted to add to it. I went to this really great AI event and I meant to mention it during my time. The college had received some money to kind of put out information to the community, to their students, to incorporate and make AI a little bit more
Understandable.
correct
Yeah.
and educate and make sure that they're starting to feel more comfortable. And so they're having prompathons and this event. I actually went to this past Friday. I went to one, ran into EDDA Rob and
Oh, you were-
Jessica,
that-
Tack.
Yeah,
Cypress
Really,
College, right?
yeah, no, it was done by the college, but it was at the Marriott in Irvine. Amazing event. They had a panel of AI experts speaking on kind of what's out there, how it's being used, how they see the future, the various different opportunities in workforce within AI, and kind of demystifying some of the things that are out there that I think it's seen as negative, but there is a lot of positivity and opportunity for employment, for workforce, for our youth in education. And then they had a really great panel of youth speak on how they're using AI, their experience, and how it's been helpful for them in their education and moving into their careers.
And
And-
writing their reports.
That was one of the things that they did speak about, but one of the, and the individuals that were speaking, one of the individuals actually spoke on how he developed an agent within AI that would help him study and developed him as a tutor so that they would develop testing, pre-testing, and help him figure out where his weaknesses were so that he can tutor himself with this agent AI, kind of like a bot, so that he would better perform in the actual testing.
Amazing.
Amazing. And I didn't
CTA, think about
I didn't understand all of it. I'm like, what's an agent? What's a bot? And so they were kind of going over all of this and I was intrigued by the amount of information, and the amount of stuff that these young individuals are doing, developing applications. It's not, there's so many apps to now do so much more that can make them very efficient. And they say, do you lose creativity? But there's another opportunity for creativity within the AI. And so I found it very interesting. And I've been trying to go in this route of bringing AI to our youth and my youth programs. And so one of the components that we are going to have within the Say Employment program with the funding that we have is to have an AI unconference that we're partnering with the library and the college and bring information to our participants enrolled in the Say Employment program and educate them more a little bit about AI, but also in showing them how they can use AI to find solutions to the main focuses around this funding, which is sustainability, food insecurity, and climate change, as a way to bring AI into the current situations that we're dealing with.
So school districts, I know one that I'm familiar with, I won't name it, not Santa, will spend tens of thousands of dollars, literally, to hire companies that hire software to track students using AI for their reports. And to your point, it's actually kind of a learning curve. You can learn, like, I know just Meta tells me I can write your message better than you. I know you can't. Yes, they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah,
good.
you're looking like, oh, I like that, okay.
Yeah.
So it's a little thing, but I mean, yeah, it's some change that's coming faster and faster. And sometimes I think back to, people say, I want to keep my blacksmith. I don't want the newfangled train or car,
Yeah.
it's coming.
It's coming.
And,
It's here.
and from my union perspective is unions need to step up to make sure, and I know this organization helps train displaced workers. workers are gonna be displaced by AI.
Yes.
So how do we collectively make sure they're trained? And this organization does something.
And I think you bring up a really good point, but I would probably use the wording of maybe not displaced, but need upskills or upskilling,
Upskilling.
and retraining.
Yeah.
So that they're not getting displaced, but getting retrained to use the
Right.
technology that's being available within their own careers or that's moving into so that they are not lost and fall behind. Because I think the opportunity is going to be there not only for us in the workforce, for retraining individuals, upskilling individuals within their current careers, but offering those future opportunities because yes, it's going to help our industry, but in the process, we still need humans to oversee it. We need laws, we need policies, all of that's gonna come into play. And it's a new field, kind of like when the computer first came out, when the first iPhone came out. When internet came out, everybody was like, oh my God, you know? And so I think we're here and it's moving a lot faster than anybody anticipated. So there needs to be some yellow cones, of course, and some stop signs. And I think it's coming. It's coming. So, and we need to be aware of it and our youth need to be aware of it,
It's
and how to
amazing.
properly use it to help themselves.
And get to know the
So-
lingo and.
Yes.
Everything you just said demonstrates what Deborah mentioned about synergy. And the synergy of this organization, recognizing what we do, and then also throw in the word union guy, solidarity in the sense that we have to show solidarity with all our groups and organizations, everybody as best we can.
Right.
Yeah.
And honoring long-term commitments that you folks made. And I wish we could have done more, but maybe we can.
Yeah.
You know, so on my final note, you'll let Dr. Hami or Dr. Hami know what occurred here today.
So I went to an AI, there were at Rancho Santiago district, there was well, on my calendar, there was an AI session this
Yes.
morning, but it wasn't this morning.
Oh, oops.
But I was there anyway at 8:00.
They're having quite a few.
It's May 16th. I think they moved it to May 16th. So there's another there. No, I didn't know.
So they got money to
AI
provide all these
talent.
different AI events, the
Yeah.
college, and so I think that's kind of what's happening,
Yeah.
and they're having different versions of them and information. So it's really great if you're able to attend any of these, and they're free.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Can't get
you
better.
learned, I'm sure you learned in your classes about that you went to. The key is how you prompt AI.
The
How
AI.
you communicate with it and how you correct your prompt. There's a whole learning curve on how to do that correctly.
Like, are you happy with this?
Mhm.
No, I'd like this out.
And the CalJobs is, I think it just got approved. My notes today to have there's an AI component coming to CalJobs.
Oh,
And so that was Javier said that was approved, so. I'll have
We
more on
may
that
be
as.
ready
yeah.
So they're trying to get rid of CalJobs.
This component might be the one that helps them get rid of it.
We've already done that, yeah.
So they were all very good. So just saying. Okay, anything else from anybody else?
Just wanted to share, I went to an event with some students last week and we used another agency's mobile unit and they got staff assistants to update their resumes. They use AI. The resumes were beautiful.
Oh, really?
The resumes were really beautiful. It was right before the job fair.
County forms.
And so the young people were, I mean, it just like they had more of a spring in their step.
Yeah.
And they were all different. And it was just really a positive, because you do hear so much about it. It was just really a positive step forward. And they gave up their resumes.
Wow.
I think it's about education, definitely.
So thank you, everybody, for all
Thank you.
you do for each other and for organizations and this organization. So thank you.
Thank you.
Meeting's adjourned.
Oh, now I have.
We need to go.